Although Steve Case was the featured speaker at the Startup Innovation Conference in Waikiki last month, the real stars were local entrepreneurs who got on stage and talked about starting successful business ventures with less than $300 in the bank. But most new businesses need a boost, and now there are companies called accelerators that do just that.
Wow, this is like a few years in the making. What happened with Hawaii is that we have had this influx of startups and startup community forming, and with Startup Weekend, the greenhouse, the box shell, all these things happening, a couple of the guys in Hawaii decided to network with Startup America and launch Startup Hawaii. So Startup Hawaii is one of 27 divisions in the Startup America network, which was founded by Steve Case, who is coming today, which we're all very excited about.
Startup America was launched out of the White House January 2011. We're a private nonprofit organization funded by the Case Foundation, the Kauffman Foundation, and 6 corporate sponsors. We, through our partnership with American Airlines, have flown startups all over the country to help them grow their businesses. We've got a partnership with the New York Stock Exchange where we're helping to connect startups to America's biggest companies. We've taken companies to launch at the Super Bowl and many other high-profile national stage opportunities. Steve Case is on the President's Jobs Council, and one of the things that there was a lot of conversation around is the fact that if you look at where job creation has come from in the U.S., all of the net new jobs have come from young, high-growth companies. So there is a need to really create a national imperative to support startups in the U.S. I've been talking to the Startup Hawaii team for literally months now, and what was really, really great about coming here to Hawaii is that for me, this is the first time I'm actually getting to meet many of them in person. And what I've talked to them about on the phone holds true. There's so much exciting activity happening here in Hawaii that part of the key is just getting that word out, having people really celebrate the exciting startup community that is here, and beginning to think about how can we take that to the next level. You've got literally 300 people in a room talking about how do we make Hawaii one of the best places to start a company, and frankly, I can't think of a better place in the US I'd rather start a company.
About 2 months ago, I was visiting Hawaii, and there happened to be a Startup Weekend event going on. I thought I should swing by and serve as a mentor, and I did, and then I was actually asked to serve as a judge. And while I was at that event, I met Carl Fuchs, who is running the Hawaii Strategic Development Corporation. And we struck up a conversation about accelerators and some of the things that maybe we could do to help here in Hawaii. Over the last 2 years, we've invested in over 350 companies. And the average first check is about $50,000 to $75,000, sometimes as high as $100,000. And then our expectation is that the top 20% of those companies that get traction in the market, we would double down, lean into them and invest more. We might write a second check for 100, maybe 200,000. For the investments that we make, we generally take about 5% of the company. And for those companies that come through our accelerator program, it's a 4-month resident program where they work out of our facility, and we provide training and mentoring opportunities to them. And then at the end, they do a demo day where they pitch their company to investors. We have a couple of companies in our portfolio that the founders are either from Hawaii originally or they're still here. One company, in fact, is called Miso Media. They've got a great little iPad app that teaches people how to play the guitar. It's a great example of where you can have local talent but reach a global audience. Even though we're investing mostly in startups, we're still a traditional VC in many ways. And the way we make a return is by our portfolio companies being acquired or going public someday. So in the last 2 years, we've had about 12 companies that have actually been acquired, and the most notable company was just announced 2 days ago. It's a company called Wildfire that does promotions and advertising on Facebook. It was just acquired by Google. In the press, at least, it was announced it was a $250 million acquisition.
Hi, I'm Sam Teller. I'm the Managing Director of Launchpad LA. We're a startup accelerator in Los Angeles, actually based over by the beach in Santa Monica. So right now the money we invest is $50,000. It's 4 months in our office, and what we try and do over the course of that time is help them raise their next round of financing and develop really valuable relationships with a handful of mentors. Part of the reason why it's exciting to be here in Hawaii and talk to the local entrepreneurs and investors here about creating their accelerators is trying to figure out what's the unique angle and how do you differentiate yourself in a really crowded marketplace where entrepreneurs can look. Obviously, Silicon Valley has the highest concentration of top-level investors. New York has been growing incredibly quickly. Boulder and Boston and Seattle, all are great entrepreneurial communities. We really think LA has the potential. We're not competing with Silicon Valley, but we think LA has the potential to be the next great city for startups. One example is Chromatic, the music education software, which did a deal with American Idol, so that if you watch American Idol, the entire orchestra is reading sheet music off of iPads running their software. LA and Hawaii have a great strategic connection. There's a lot of entertainment and film production that goes on here. Obviously, our geography makes us very close. Big tourism industries in both places. There is a connection and a relationship that I'd like to explore and build with the accelerator that comes out of here. And the last thing is, until there is an accelerator in Hawaii, if there are exceptional companies being built here, it would be my pleasure to recruit them to Launchpad LA to join our program and possibly to stay in LA, possibly to come back and create more jobs here in Hawaii, or have offices in both. Why not?
When I left Hawaii in 1994, it was really a sad moment because living here was great. I mean, I wasn't from here originally, but after 3 years, it felt like home. Just waking up and smelling the beautiful flowers and seeing the ocean and the great weather, it was really tough to leave. But one of the things I love about the opportunities that are coming up right now is the chance to maybe come back. If I had that opportunity, I would take it. Who wouldn't? People often talk about the brain drain. It's really the brain gain. Is there a way to bring people here and bring that talent back to the islands? And that's what we're all trying to work for.
In future episodes, you'll hear more success stories from homegrown entrepreneurs and mainland-based accelerators who are at the event. After the break, we'll go from startups to pop-up dinners.